If there is a single force that separates the few who shape their destiny from the many who drift with every current, it is self-discipline. It is the backbone of every dream realized, the foundation beneath every true achievement, and if the devil is to be believed, the one trait he fears above all others. When I asked the devil about his greatest obstacles, his answer was instant. Give me a mind without discipline, and I can lead it anywhere. But give me someone who can master their own impulses, and my influence slips away. He described self-discipline as the great firewall, the inner strength that turns knowledge into action, intention into habit, and fleeting desire into lasting legacy. He explained that the battle for self-discipline begins in the smallest moments. People imagine discipline as heroic willpower reserved for grand occasions. In truth, it's built in the mundane. The choice to wake up early, to finish what you start, to resist distraction, to keep a promise to yourself even when no one else is watching. Each tiny act is a vote for your own freedom. The devil revealed his favorite tactics to undermine discipline: temptation, procrastination, and rationalization. I whisper, just this once won't hurt, or you can start tomorrow. The mind that listens is quickly lost to drift. A single exception repeated becomes a habit. I work not through thunder, but through 1,000 soft excuses. He described how modern life conspires to break our focus. The world is full of noise, urgency, and endless options, most designed to distract, not empower. Each notification, each craving, each opportunity to quit is a crack in your foundation. My job is to magnify every distraction, to convince you that comfort now is worth more than growth later. But the devil grudgingly admitted the power of ritual and structure. Disciplined people do not trust their motivation alone. They build routines, set boundaries, and surround themselves with reminders of their commitments. They design their environment for focus, not just willpower. This is how they make the hard path easier and the easy path less tempting. We discussed the cost of undisciplined living. Most people blame circumstance, but it is the lack of self-mastery that shapes their fate. Every goal abandoned, every habit broken, every promise forgotten becomes another thread in the web of drift. Over time, the undisciplined mind becomes a stranger to itself by appetite, not intention. Yet, the devil confessed, discipline is not deprivation. It is not about denial or punishment. True discipline is self-respect in action, the willingness to give up what you want now for what you want most. It is the quiet pride of keeping your word to yourself, of standing guard over your own future. He left me with a challenge. The disciplined are hard to sway. They are less seduced by comfort, less rattled by setbacks, and almost impossible to control. If you wish to outwit me, start by mastering yourself one small decision at a time. So, as you listen, ask yourself, what promise will you keep to yourself today? What ritual, boundary, or act of focus will become your vote for freedom? In the end, the devil cannot enslave the self-discipline they have already claimed their own mind. Determined to dig beneath the surface, I challenge the devil. If discipline is the bedrock of all achievement, why do so few people master it? What stands in the way? Is it just weakness of will or something more? The devil smiled, knowing the answer would strike close to home. He began with the illusion of freedom. Many believe that following every impulse is freedom. But real freedom is found in self-governance, the ability to choose your actions rather than be driven by craving or fear. The undisciplined think they are living, but they are only reacting. He explained how habits shape destiny. People underestimate the power of small choices repeated over time. Each time you hit snooze, break a promise to yourself, or indulge in distraction, you reinforce a groove in the mind. Soon your actions are not chosen, but automatic, run by habit, not intention. The devil described his favorite tool, emotional sabotage. I use discouragement, boredom, and doubt. I convince you that effort is pointless, that nothing will change, that you are not enough. The undisciplined give up when the feelings shift. The disciplined act despite feeling unmotivated because their commitment is to the practice, not to the mood. He pointed to the myth of perfection. Many abandon discipline because they can't be perfect. One slip and they declare defeat, spiraling into guilt and resignation. I profit most from those who demand flawlessness. The wise understand that self-discipline is not all or nothing. It's the art of returning again and again after every misstep. We discussed the role of environment. Your surroundings can be your greatest ally or worst enemy. If your world is designed for distraction, endless screens, clutter, negative influences, discipline is an uphill battle. The successful shape their environment. They remove temptations, set clear cues for positive habits, and create spaces that invite focus. The devil spoke of the power of accountability. Share your goals, not to impress, but to enlist allies, a friend, a mentor, a group that expects your best, makes drifting harder. The act of reporting progressive unto yourself can transform willpower into consistency. He warned of the danger of delayed dreams. Every time you postpone what matters, I'll start tomorrow, next week. When I have time, you teach your mind that your desires are negotiable. Over years, this is how dreams die, not in dramatic failure, but in quiet postponement. But the devil admitted that anyone can turn the tide. It begins with a single promise kept. One small act: waking early, finishing a task, refusing an easy excuse starts a new groove. Every return to discipline weakens my hold and strengthens yours. He ended with a challenge. Are you waiting to feel ready, or are you ready to begin? Discipline is not a trait you're born with, it's a practice you build, one imperfect day at a time. So, as you continue, ask yourself, where in your life have you traded freedom for comfort? What new habit, environment, or ally could tip the scales in your favor today? Remember, each act of discipline is a declaration of independence from the devil, from drift, and from your old story. The conversation grew sharper as I pressed the devil for specifics. What does it actually look like to build self-discipline in real life? What practices separate those who wish for change from those who achieve it? He grinned. After all, this was where most of his work was done. He began with the myth of sudden transformation. Most people think discipline is a lightning bolt-on grand decision that changes everything. In truth, it is a slow fire, built one spark at a time. Discipline is forged not in moments of inspiration, but in countless choices when no one is watching. The strongest self-mastery grows in silence, in the refusal to break your word to yourself. The devil revealed the importance of ritual and routine. The disciplined automate their priorities. They wake at the same hour, eat with intention, move their bodies, review their goals daily. Rituals protect you when motivation fades. The world may be chaotic, but ritual makes your inner world predictable and safe for growth. We discussed the danger of all or nothing thinking. Many sabotage their progress with perfectionism. They miss a day, break a streak, and declare the effort ruined. But real discipline is the art of starting again 10 times, 100 times, as often as needed. The only true failure is giving up for good. The devil spoke of the power of tracking and self-reflection. The disciplined measure progress. They keep journals, logs, or scorecards not to obsess, but to observe the patterns of their mind. Each week they ask, what worked? Where did I slip? What will I try next? Reflection transforms mistakes into lessons and removes the sting of guilt. He warned about the trap of comparison. Many look sideways, measuring themselves against others' highlight reels. This breeds either arrogance or despair. True self-discipline is private work. Your only competition is the self you were yesterday. The disciplined take pride in progress, not perfection. We explored the need for strategic rewards. Willpower alone is brittle. Reward your discipline, not just with results, but with healthy pleasures: rest, play, a celebration of each small win. Joy fuels persistence. When you link effort to pleasure, discipline becomes a source of strength, not just struggle. The devil revealed how identity shapes consistency. If you see yourself as lazy, you will unconsciously prove yourself right. But if you act like a disciplined person, even imperfectly, your identity shifts. Each small act becomes evidence. This is who I am now. Soon, effort feels natural. The hardest work is at the start. He left me with a challenge. What will you automate, track, or celebrate this week? What ritual can you build? What story can you rewrite? Remember, I win only when you quit. Each time you show up, you reclaim your future and prove to yourself you are worthy of trust. So as you listen, ask, where can you replace willpower with ritual? What is the smallest step you can take today, and will you celebrate it as the foundation of a new groove? With the mechanics of self-discipline revealed, I wanted more. What keeps discipline alive when the novelty wears off? What does it look like when the journey gets boring, hard, or uncertain? The devil's reply was honest, almost admiring of those who persist. He began with embracing boredom. Discipline flourishes in the ordinary. The strongest are not those who crave excitement, but those who show up even when motivation is low. Most drift the moment a routine becomes dull, but mastery is built by returning day after day to the basics. Boredom is not your enemy. It's proof that the habit is taking root. He described the importance of managing setbacks. Everyone slips, everyone fails. The disciplined anticipate setbacks and plan for them. Instead of spiraling into guilt or self-loathing, they pause, reflect, and begin again. Recovery is a skill. The faster you forgive yourself and return to the path, the stronger your discipline grows. The devil warned about decision fatigue. Each decision drains willpower. The disciplined reduce friction by planning ahead, choosing their meals, setting workout times, creating routines that remove daily choice. Simplicity is a shield. The more you automate, the less you risk being swayed by mood or distraction. He spoke about protecting your environment. Change what you can, shield what you can't. If you can't avoid temptation, add friction, hide the phone, block the website, clear your workspace. Make the path to your priorities easy and the path to distraction hard. We discussed the value of accountability. True discipline is supported by honest connection. Share your goals with someone who will support your return, not just applaud your success. Check in regularly, weekly, even daily. The knowledge that someone is paying attention helps you show up when you'd rather quit. The devil illuminated the idea of purposeful sacrifice. Every act of discipline is a trade, giving up comfort now for growth later. Remember what you're saying yes to by saying no today. Keep your vision visible, a note, a picture, a daily affirmation. Let it remind you that discipline is not punishment, but devotion to a greater cause. He revealed the danger of resentment. Discipline should never become self-punishment. If your routines are fueled by shame or anger, you'll eventually rebel. The disciplined reframe routines as self-respect, evidence that they believe in their future. He ended with a challenge. Boredom, setbacks, fatigue, they're all part of the journey. Will you let them be proof that it's time to quit, or proof that you're on the right track? Each time you start again, you build resilience and loosen my hold. So ask yourself, what simple routine will you defend when excitement fades? How will you recover from setbacks and forgive your imperfections? The devil fears those who keep showing up no matter the weather, no matter the mood. The closer our conversation drew to its end, the clearer the message became. Self-discipline is less a trait and more a way of life. I challenged the devil. What does mastery look like over decades, not just days? How does discipline evolve, and how does it serve not only personal goals, but the world beyond the self? He began with the truth about long-term resilience. Discipline, once established, becomes a quiet background force. It doesn't demand attention. It doesn't need applause. It simply guides your actions, shapes your days, and anchors you in moments of chaos. Those who master it don't think of themselves as disciplined. They simply do what needs to be done, without drama or delay. The devil explained how discipline multiplies freedom. To the undisciplined, structure feels like a cage. To the disciplined, it is the key to liberation. Because they do the hard things first, their minds are clear, their time their own. Each healthy habit, morning routines, focused work, meaningful rest builds compound interest in every area of life. He described the transition from self-discipline to self-leadership. Eventually, discipline becomes less about rules and more about values. You act not because you have to, but because it aligns with who you are. Integrity replaces self-policing. The most disciplined people rarely need to punish or push themselves. They have learned to trust their own word. We discussed the power of example and influence. Nothing inspires others like visible discipline. Your children, friends, colleagues, they watch you keep promises to yourself. Every time you act with consistency, you make it safer for someone else to try. You become a living challenge to excuses and drift. The devil warned about complacency and the illusion of arrival. The greatest risk comes when discipline turns into pride. You stop learning, stop questioning, and start believing you've outgrown the basics. True masters remain humble. They return to the fundamentals, review their routines, and never let progress breed arrogance. He spoke of legacy and impact. The self-disciplined don't just change themselves, they change the world around them. They build businesses, raise strong families, start movements. They teach not by preaching, but by embodying what's possible. Their discipline creates opportunities, safety, and growth for everyone they touch. The devil's closing confession was simple but profound. My power fades wherever self-discipline grows. Every act of focus, every promise kept, every routine honored is another brick in the fortress of freedom. The world cannot enslave a mind that commands itself. So, as you step beyond this chapter, ask yourself, what example are you setting? What routines, boundaries, and small acts of discipline will become your legacy? Remember, discipline is not about punishment, but about possibility. Every day, you choose which force shapes your life, drift or devotion. By this point, the devil had outlined every trap, every subtle form of drift and distraction, every emotional pitfall he could devise. But I wanted the next level. What does advanced self-discipline look like? How does someone move from basic habits to the kind of deep, almost automatic self-mastery that endures for a lifetime, even when life gets complicated, chaotic, or downright unfair? He started with the concept of second-order discipline. Beginners focus on the obvious, waking up early, working out, avoiding sugar. But true masters look deeper. They develop discipline over their thoughts, not just their actions. They challenge the storylines that sabotage focus, self-doubt, catastrophizing, all or nothing thinking. They intercept excuses before those excuses become actions. The devil described emotional discipline as the next frontier. Most people think discipline is about forcing action. In reality, the strongest people know how to sit with discomfort, ride out cravings, and not let feelings dictate choices. They recognize that moods are weather real, but temporary. Their commitment is to the mission, not the mood. We explored the power of meta-routines, habits about habits. Masters don't just create routines, they review and upgrade them regularly. They notice when a once powerful ritual becomes stale or too easy, and they deliberately raise the bar. They aren't afraid to outgrow old methods, to audit their days, to ask, what am I avoiding? Where am I coasting? The devil warned of the trap of over-control. Some, in pursuit of discipline, become rigid, joyless, even self-punishing. True self-mastery includes flexibility. Masters know when to rest, when to play, when to break the rules on purpose. They don't fear a day off, they trust their ability to return. Balance is a feature, not a flaw. He revealed the strength in purpose-driven discipline. Discipline for its own sake becomes hollow. But when tied to purpose, serving your family, building something meaningful, living your value-every routine is infused with energy. Purpose makes sacrifice easier and resilience more natural. A disciplined life, in the service of a calling, is the ultimate antidote to drift. We discuss the role of setbacks at the highest level. Setbacks never go away. The difference is the disciplined recover faster, learn quicker, and adapt more skillfully. They view failure as feedback, not a referendum on their worth. The best keep growing, not because they never fall, but because they never quit returning. The devil ended this part with one last insight. The world will always tempt you to relax your standards when no one is watching, when you're tired, discouraged, alone. Advanced self-discipline means honoring your commitments in the shadows, not just in the spotlight. Each unseen act of integrity is a deposit in the bank of self-trust. So as you continue this journey, ask yourself, where can you upgrade not just your routines, but your thinking? What emotion, excuse, or storyline is ready to be questioned, not obeyed? In the end, self-discipline is not a finish line, but a lifelong ascent you climb by choice, one honest step at a time. As our dialogue deepened, I confronted the devil with the toughest reality. Anyone can stick to discipline when things are going well. But what happens when life unravels? When grief, betrayal, failure, or chaos threaten every routine, how do truly disciplined people keep going? For the first time, the devil looked almost respectful. He began with the truth of adversity as a forge. You learn the real depth of your discipline, not in calm, but in crisis. The undisciplined wait for the right time or the right mood. The masters show up, rain or shine. Even if their rituals shrink from hours to minutes, even if all they can do is the bare minimum, they refuse to break the chain. In chaos, they scale back, but do not disappear. He described the art of minimum viable discipline. When storms hit, the strongest strip routines to their essence. Can't run 5 miles? Walk around the block. Too sad to read for an hour? Read 1 page. When you refuse to make zero your default, you build the muscle of self-trust. Every small act is a victory over the pull of drift. The devil explained how honest self-talk becomes critical. Hard times invite lies. This doesn't matter. I'll start again later. Nobody cares. The disciplined counter with truth. This matters because it's hard. I show up because I refuse to disappear on myself. They don't minimize pain, but they refuse to make suffering an excuse for surrender. He spoke about the necessity of flexible routines. Rigid discipline snaps under pressure. The wise adapt, adjust, and forgive. They allow themselves to grieve, to rest, to move slower without letting go entirely. When they fall forward. When the old way won't work, they invent a new one. We explored the idea of values as an anchor. In the darkest days, purpose outshines preference. The disciplined act not just for results, but for the kind of person they want to be. They ask, what would my best self do now? Even when motivation is gone, identity and values remain. The devil warned of self-pity as his favorite ally. Pain begs for pity, for excuses, for the story that it's okay to let go. But self-pity is the start of a downward spiral. The disciplined allow themselves compassion, but not indulgence. They mourn, but they return. He ended this part with a challenge. Will you let life's storms shrink you, or will you shrink the storm by showing up however imperfectly? The world does not reward those who never suffer, but those who refuse to disappear. So, as you consider your own path, ask, What is your minimum viable discipline small act that keeps you anchored even in chaos? When hard times hit, will you defend your habits, your values, your promises to yourself? Each return is proof that you are stronger than any storm. As we pressed on, it was clear. Discipline isn't truly measured in public, but in the quiet moments when no one is looking. I challenge the devil. What separates those who maintain their standards in private from those who only perform for others? How does one develop the kind of self-respect that endures even when applause disappears? The devil's response was candid. He began with the myth of external motivation. Most people act well when watched. Their best behavior appears in front of bosses, partners, or audiences, but this is borrowed discipline. The truly free act with integrity because it is who they are, not because they fear judgment. The devil described the concept of self-witnessing. Masters of discipline become their own audience. They check in daily. Did I do what I said I would? Did I make excuses or take ownership? They don't need praise to persist, nor shame to correct. Their self-respect grows with each promise kept in private. He explained how temptation grows stronger in isolation. When you are alone late at night, far from scrutiny, exhausted by stress, that is when my whispers are loudest. No one will know, just this once. What's the harm? The disciplined anticipate these moments. They pre-decide their actions. They set up barriers, lock their phones away, leave tempting foods at the store, schedule commitments that make drift harder. Prevention beats willpower. We discussed the danger of secret exceptions. Every private shortcut chips away at trust. You cannot hide from yourself. Even one hidden failure breeds doubt. Over time, the gap between your public image and private reality becomes a wound. The disciplined protect their integrity, knowing that self-respect is built or broken in secret. The devil warned about rationalization. Excuses are most seductive when no one can contradict them. Masters challenge their own stories. Am I being honest with myself? Would I accept this from someone I admire? Brutal honesty is a friend to discipline. He spoke of developing inner rituals. Public routines are easy gym check-ins, work deadlines, visible milestones, but inner rituals matter most. Daily reflection, journaling, private vows. The strongest routines are invisible habits of thought, of gratitude, of refusing to betray your own word. The devil ended with a truth. You cannot outsource self-respect. It is won or lost by how you act when you think no one will ever know. Every small victory in secret becomes a source of strength in the world. Every secret failure becomes a weight you must carry alone. So, as you consider your discipline, ask, what secret acts define you? Where do you need a private ritual, a self-check, or a pre-made plan for your weakest moments? The devil fears those who are as honest with themselves in the dark as they are in the light. As our conversation neared its final stretch, I pressed for the big picture. What does self-discipline look like, not just over weeks or months, but as a lifelong practice? How does it evolve as we grow, and what keeps it alive when so many lose their way? The devil, finally somber, gave his answer without theatrics. He began with the reality of seasons and cycles. Discipline is not a static trait. It ebbs and flows, matures, even changes its form. There will be seasons of rapid growth, of plateau, even of regression. The strongest are not those who never falter, but those who continually return. They treat setbacks as part of the rhythm, not a sign of failure. The devil explained the power of lifelong learning. The disciplined mind never assumes it has arrived. It is always open to new techniques, fresh perspectives, evolving routines. Masters study themselves as if they are unfinished projects, always looking for another edge, another way to grow. He spoke of flexibility within structure. Over time, rigid routines must yield to changing circumstances. What worked in your 20s may not fit your 40s. The wise adjust their rituals to match their new reality: careers, families, health, energy. Discipline is not stubbornness. It is the art of adjustment, of honoring the goal by updating the process. We explored the danger of complacency. The moment you believe you've mastered discipline is the moment it begins to slip. The devil's favorite victory is subtle: pride. Stay humble enough to question your habits, audit your days, and remember that the basic sleep, movement, honest work never go out of style. He described the value of legacy and mentorship. As discipline matures, it becomes a gift to others. The most consistent people naturally inspire their children, partners, colleagues. They become mentors, teaching by example, helping others recover from drift. The ripple effect turns private virtue into public strength. The devil warned about the temptation to coast. Comfort is the enemy of growth. Long-term discipline means setting new goals, welcoming fresh challenges, refusing to let routines become prisons. When energy wanes, the wise scale back, but never surrender the core habits that define them. He concluded with a vision for a disciplined life well lived. Such people age with dignity and strength. They are less rattled by external chaos, more able to adapt, more generous with their time and wisdom. Their self-trust is hard-earned and enduring. So, as you reflect on your own journey, ask, what habits, values, and routines will you carry forward, even as life changes? Where are you due for an update, a new challenge, a fresh source of inspiration? The devil knows discipline is not a sprint, but a lifelong, evolving dance. As our final dialogue on self-discipline approached, the devil became almost philosophical. His bravado was gone, replaced by a kind of reluctant respect for the few who truly master themselves. You see now, he said, that my power is strongest wherever people surrender their will. My grip is tightest not on the weak, but on those who never learn to return after a slip, who let shame and drift become their routine. He began with the ultimate truth about self-discipline. Discipline is not just about controlling action, it's about shaping identity. It is the day-by-day act of becoming trustworthy to yourself. Every promise kept, no matter how small, is a seed of self-respect. Every day you show up, you write a new ending for your old story. The devil explained that the disciplined live with clarity and peace. They no longer chase every craving or opinion. They act from purpose, not impulse. Their days are quieter not because they avoid life's storms, but because they've learned to navigate them with intention. They no longer fear discomfort. They welcome it as proof of their growth. He spoke of legacy and ripple effect. Discipline, once mastered, becomes contagious. You show the next generation what is possible. Your children, students, friends, see in you the dignity of self-leadership, the strength of boundaries, and the freedom that comes with devotion to something bigger than comfort. We discussed the final challenge. You'll never fully silence temptation, but the disciplined are not defined by what they resist, but by what they pursue. They do not waste time waiting for motivation. They build routines that outlast every mood. They do not punish failure. They recommit, forgive, and return. The devil left me with a powerful image. My only hope is that you forget your own power. But every disciplined act is a rebellion against drift, against distraction, against the tyranny of the easy way. The world cannot enslave the person who commands their own mind. He closed with a challenge to the listener. What is one promise you can keep to yourself today? What small act, no matter how humble, will you defend, even when no one's watching? Remember, discipline is not an event, but a way of traveling. Each day is a new opportunity to prove to yourself that you are the author, not the victim, of your story. So, as this chapter ends, step forward with renewed devotion. Become your own example. Let your days be marked by quiet victories, each one a sign that you have outwitted the devil, reclaimed your freedom, and built a life that stands on the unshakable ground of self-discipline.